In Deuteronomy chapter 30, look at what God said to Israel. Verse 19, I call heaven and earth as witness today against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both you and your descendants may live, that you may love the Lord your God, that you may obey His voice, and that you may cling to Him. For He is your life and the length of your days, and that you may dwell in the land which the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give them. Why did God look at a chosen people and say, I'm laying life and death before you, blessing and cursing, therefore choose life? Saints, the nations around them had chosen death. They were cultures of death. They embraced death and hatred and violence. And God says, I want you to be a people in the midst of a culture and cultures that embrace death, and you embrace life. I'm laying before you blessings and cursings, therefore you need to choose life. And then He brings up the land that He gave to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm going to address as lovingly as I can our young people and what's going on our colleges and campuses right now. And while their hearts at large, young people today really embrace causes and want to defend oppressed peoples, and all of that is good, but they're buying into all these lies and deceptions, even on our college campuses, that Israel are occupiers and settlers. Listen, young people, let me give you one of your favorite words. If there ever was an indigenous people, I have to show you in the Bible, evidently. I figured I'd get a standing ovation. If there ever was an indigenous people that God gave the land for thousands of years, and thousands of years we can go back, that God gave them that land. They're the indigenous people. They're not occupiers. They're not settlers. And yet our media is so corrupt. And if you think for 1 minute they don't hate Israel, you haven't seen how much they hate you. You don't understand how they hate and despise you, and hate and despise the Bible, and hate and despise anything near and dear to God. Hamas is a culture of death. They're a culture of evil. It was Hamas that attacked Israel, not Israel, Hamas. Hamas is not a social justice group or movement. Hamas are not freedom fighters. In 1988, when they established their charter, their mission statement in their public covenant contract with one another in 1988 specifically says that their mission is to kill all Jews and wipe Israel off the face of the earth. And while we can't, even in our own nation at large, face truth, Iran is a sponsorer of Hamas. And we have to understand these things, because things are about to escalate and we need God's wisdom desperately. They are terrorists and a terrorist organization. They are the ones that came in out of Gaza into Israel, and again murdered over 1,300 people in their homes, unarmed, innocent civilians. They raped and killed women and children. They do not care for the Palestinians or anyone that stands against their agenda or in their way. They actually use the Palestinians for human shields. They literally hide their weaponry and their rockets in hospitals and in schools because they know if Israel responds, there will be innocent casualties, and they need those optics to turn the world against Israel. Saints, we have been here. History is repeating itself, and it's repeating itself rapidly. To have young people on our college campuses marching, calling for the extermination of the Jews is appalling. It's alarming that we could see this national movement, even in America, against the Jews and anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism, saints, I'm going to show you out of the Bible, is demonic. It's demonic. It's not natural. The hatred for the Jews is not natural. It's demonic. It has the Antichrist and Satan himself behind it. And we have to discern this. We have to be awakened to what's happening not only in our culture and our country, but Satan has set the stage for a worldwide assault on Israel and the extermination of the Jews. There hasn't been this many Jews killed since the Holocaust. And you've got, again, colleges all over the world. Death to the Jews. And yet even in America, we used to be a Christian nation. We used to have discernment. We used to could see and discern good and evil. And yet recently you got people marching in the streets and calling for the death of cops. We want dead cops. When do we want them? We want them now, chanting that. And the church didn't have the conviction or the courage to stand up and say, that is evil. Many people quit church because of people like myself standing up and saying, burning our cities down is not godly. Attacking our businesses, attacking policemen, corrupt policemen. I've dealt with this 1,000 times. Pastor Zach's dealt with it. We should have such a relationship in our town. Every town, the church ought to have a relationship with the police department. If there's a corrupt cop, even the good cops want to get rid of corrupt cops. So we want to get rid of all corrupt cops. Did you hear me say that? Amen. On the other hand, we can't call for the extermination of cops and the killing of cops and the burning down of businesses. That which keeps our cities functional, that which keeps us all unified, our economy and jobs. And now we're going to burn down. A CNN reporter, my favorite report of my entire lifetime. You got buildings on fire, you got dumpsters burning, you got cars being lit on fire, and the so-called journalist that's nothing but a propagandist comes on and says, well, we've got a little bit of things going on, but it's mostly peaceful. You can see the fires. These people are crazy. I said, these people are crazy. Well, I think we should love them. I do love them, and I pray for their soul. And I'm speaking the truth in love that they might be saved. Because if you embrace evil, there is a day of judgment. There is an accounting. We're all going to stand before God and give an account for every deed done in the flesh. We got in our major cities right now people raiding stores and just filling up carts with food and walking out with it. And we don't have enough discernment to go, that is wrong. What happened to thou shalt not steal? What happened to thou shalt not murder? There's a reason why the Jews are hated. I'll get into that here in a minute, and I just named a few. That one thing the lawless one, the devil hates, is law and order. He's the lawless one. That's his title. He's the author of chaos and violence and hate. And all that we see in our country that's percolating, and now it's percolating on a world stage. The young people are in our colleges chanting free Palestine, free Palestine. No, we need to free Palestine from Hamas. That should be the chant that's being chanted. Evil must be stood up to. It must be spoken against, stood against, and opposed. Or if good people don't do the right thing, don't say the right thing, if we don't wake up, then we will wake up to a world we won't recognize, and it will not be pretty.